A new allegation against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, just as the stage is set for his first accuser to testify on Capitol Hill this week. Evening, everyone, and welcome to The Next Revolution. I'm Steve Hilton, and this is the home of positive populism. What a blockbuster night. We are live in New York. Candace Owens is here. Jason Chaffetz is here. Greg Jarrett is here. We will bring you all the information and analysis you need to be ready for a momentous week ahead. I've also got a special announcement about positive populism coming up soon, an exclusive offer you won't want to miss. Plus, later in the show, we'll bring you a special Swamp Watch on the Democrats' outrageous hypocrisy about Brett Kavanaugh. But first, the New Yorker dropping a bombshell report just within the past hour about a second woman accusing Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct decades ago. This time, it's 53-year-old Deborah Ramirez, who says Kavanaugh exposed himself to her and thrust himself towards her when both were students at Yale University in the mid-1980s. Now, both the White House and Kavanaugh have issued statements within the hour on this new allegation. Kavanaugh saying, quote, "This alleged event from 35 years ago did not happen. The people who knew me then know this did not happen and have said so. This is a smear, plain and simple." He goes on to say he looks forward to testifying this week. And the White House also responding tonight saying, quote, "This 35-year-old uncorroborated claim is the latest in a coordinated smear campaign by the Democrats designed to tear down a good man." The statement also says the claim is denied by all who are said to be present at this party involving this latest accuser, and that the White House stands firmly behind Judge Kavanaugh. But that's not all. Michael Avenatti, remember him? Stormy Daniels' lawyer. He says he now has a client who has, quote, "credible information regarding Judge Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge." Information Avenatti promises to make public tomorrow. All this as both Kavanaugh and his original accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, are set to testify this Thursday on Capitol Hill. In a moment, we'll bring in Jason Chaffetz, Candace Owens and Greg Jarrett. But first, Fox News Capitol Hill senior producer Chad Pergram is live for us in Washington, D.C. Chad, just until a few minutes ago, we thought we had quite a clear timetable set up with the hearing agreed to, taking place on Thursday, the accuser, Dr. Ford, testifying, agreeing to that. How does this new allegation change the timetable?
Well, the short answer is nobody quite knows. You can almost imagine a cornice, at a ski resort, about to start an avalanche coming down the hill here. That could be a real problem for Brett Kavanaugh if senators on both sides of the aisle interpret these allegations, this other set of allegations, as credible, and they need to hear from other witnesses. We thought we had this hearing set up for Thursday, probably the biggest hearing on Capitol Hill in a generation. You have to go back to Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas in 1991. But there's an old saying on Capitol Hill: nothing is agreed to until everything is agreed to. And if you start to have other Republican senators start to say, we have some other questions here, we're not quite sure, you cannot change congressional physics. Either you have the votes or you don't. The vote drop down right now in the Senate is 51 Republicans to 49 Democrats. And if they lose anybody on the Republican side of the aisle, it starts to be game over. You could imagine a situation where this starts to get very sticky for Brett Kavanaugh, especially if Democratic senators, and for that matter, Republican senators, are going to raise these other questions about this latest set of allegations in the hearing on Thursday. I mean, that's the problem for Brett Kavanaugh here. The optics are bad, and what is passed is prologue. I will go back to mid-July. There was a nominee that was just seconds away from a confirmation vote, Ryan Bounds for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And Mitch McConnell ripped his nomination, his confirmation vote, off the floor. Tim Scott, the Republican senator from South Carolina, said he could not vote for this nominee because of some racist writings and views that he had, which were controversial in college. And they pulled that nomination off the floor. The administration withdrew the nomination, and that was it for Ryan Bounds because they didn't have the votes. If they don't have the votes, you can't do anything. So, Chad, what about this question of the FBI investigation? I'm interested in the timetable as it relates to the last possible moment that this vote could be held and still get Judge Kavanaugh confirmed before the midterm elections. How much time is there Well, you have 5 weeks here, and there are some on the Republican side of the aisle who say this would be great. Let's string this out a few more weeks and get it closer to the midterms because we've energized our base. And it might be tough for those Democrats who are from red states, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Joe Donnelly of Indiana, to either put their money where their mouth is and vote for Brett Kavanaugh. But you could also see this backfiring on Republicans right now because, the Democrats might be making these charges against Kavanaugh, and they need to make a persuasive case with suburban female voters. And this could backterm if this goes too close to the election. Now, let's just lay this out based on what we know right now. If you were to have a hearing on Thursday, the earliest you could have a committee vote, which is not essential, but they're going to do that, obviously, because this is an important nomination, would be Friday. And then it would be up to Mitch McConnell whether he would want to start to run the procedural traps on this over the weekend or wait till next week. If he ran the procedural traps, a confirmation vote would come about if he ran the procedural traps over the weekend, the confirmation vote would come about next Wednesday. But they might want to take more time with this.
Yeah.
They might say, well, we had this confirmation hearing. We heard from Christine Blasey Ford. We heard again from Kavanaugh. We have other questions. We just can't forge ahead with a committee vote on Friday. This could drag this out maybe a couple more weeks, and that's why I cite Ryan Bounds.
Right.
It looked like he was on the verge of confirmation, and then they withdrew it.
But as you say, people want this to be done quickly, but there is still a number of weeks until the midterms. Thank you, Chad, so much for all of that.